Okay, now that you have done your outline, you're thinking to yourself, now what? First of all, the good thing is that completing your outline, you know this text really, really well if you completed the outline correctly. So since that is the case, what you are going to want to do is open up to your text one more time. So what I would recommend is opening this up in whatever your app is. Most of your apps allow you to highlight. If you like actually writing, you can copy and paste it into Notability one more time, and read it one more time really, really carefully as you're reading it. This is the Mark 9 text, so those of you who have Mark 9, you're lucky. You're going to read the text one more time and try to pick out any of the people, places, or things, or even actions or words that seem really significant in this text. So if we look at this text, if anyone causes one of these little ones, who is Jesus talking about? I don't know, so that's something I need to figure out. Those who believe in me to stumble. Stumble is something that's talked about over and over and over and over again in this text. You see it there, all over the place. It would be better for them if a large millstone. What is a large millstone? How much do large millstones weigh? Why is this something that is significant? If it was hung around their neck and they were thrown into the sea. If your hand causes you to stumble. Now, we get this refrain. If it causes you to stumble, cut it off. If it causes you to stumble, cut it off. Here again, it is better for you. If your eye causes you to stumble, pluck it out. So we need to really understand what this stumble thing is all about and what might Jesus mean when he says stumble. And then he says it's better for you to enter life. Notice he doesn't say heaven, he says life. So we're going to have to look up what is the tradition, what is Jesus meaning when he says life, what is he tapping into? Then to go with two hands into hell. So if you take a look into the literature, which I'll show you how to do later, you'll realize that hell is actually a really specific thing. It's a proper noun referring to a place outside of Jerusalem, like a specific place. And so you'll look into that and figure out what that means. Also, later, I'm not going to do the whole thing for you. So later, we have this chunk right here. The worms that eat them do not die, and the fire is not quenched. If you notice the formatting, that's in a special format. It's a quote of something. So you're going to want to figure out, why is Jesus quoting this thing? What does that mean? What does it mean for him to allude to that? Then he talks about this weird phrase, salting with fire. What is the significance of salt, and what does it have to do with fire? And then he goes on and talks about salt again. Jesus seems really confusing here, so all of these interesting little points, you're going to want to jot them down. The reason I have a Word document over here is because as you do this, I would recommend writing all these things down. So I highlighted them over there. I put little ones. Stumble, large millstone, life, hell, worms that do not die, etc. Now, the reason I'm saying you should write these things down is because when you are writing any paper, the most intimidating part is when you open up that Word document and you have a blank screen. So, starting by just jotting down the notes that you have, the things that seem important, salting and fire, saltiness, things like this. When you look up this information, you can then jot your notes down, blah, 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 and you no longer have a blank screen. And all you have to do is then take all of this research that you've done and turn this research into paragraphs. This is what you're going to do for your historical background section. So I would start with the text. After doing that and writing down some of these points, some of these questions, the next thing I would do is in my classroom, there is the IVP Bible Background Commentary of the New Testament, written by Craig S. Keener. This is hands down one of the best things that I have ever bought in my life. If you buy the hardcover version, you can see it's $23. But in my classroom, there is one of these. Mr. Treviso should be able to find it in my cabinet somewhere, top shelf. It doesn't look very much like this because mine has the cover gone, so it's green and black, and it says IVP Bible Background Commentary, New Testament. You can look up your text, and verse by verse, it goes through each text and says, these are the important elements, and this is the important historical, cultural, political background behind those verses. So this is a very good resource. I would say if you want to, what you should do is get together with other people in the class that have the same text and read that together and jot down your notes over here, because you will find really important stuff. stuff that you didn't even think would be important. After reading Craig Keener's book, you'll realize, oh my goodness, the word the is really significant. And so I would recommend doing that. So that's for all of this, is for the historical background. Now, in the instructions for the assignment, I call this historical, cultural, blah, 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 blah background. I'm just calling it historical background because the cultural, political, all that stuff fits into the history of the text. Now, the next thing that you're going to be doing is you are going to be doing textual background. Now, doing textual background, I would recommend doing something similar to what you did here. Have this blank Word document up or notability note up, and on that document, I want you to open up your Bible and read at least 3 chapters before and after the text. And while you're doing that, you're going to jot down notes, important notes. The things that you're looking for are parallels, correlations, contrasts, anything in the text that you find is different, like extremely different or very similar to what you find in your text. Anything that you can compare and contrast with your text. I want you to take note of those things because in your textual background, you'll then be summarizing and rewriting the 3 chapters before and after your text, drawing special attention to the things that correlate with your text. So that's the textual background section. Now, that is pretty straightforward, and you'll notice that because this has to do with knowing your own text really well, you're going to want to finish your historical background section probably before jumping into the textual background, because that'll help you see what are those important things before and after. Maybe after doing some research on the word hell, you'll realize, oh, Jesus says hell this many times in the chapters before and after, or he doesn't mention it at all. That might be significant. Also, for the historical background section, moving back to that point, another thing that you're going to want to do is find good resources. BibleStudyTools.com is an excellent place to go, and one of the tools that you're going to want to use is if you go to BibleStudyTools.com and you click under the Study tab, there's all this stuff. Devotionals will not help you. Bible study will, odds are Bible studies will be kind of like lessons that you want to teach to a house group. Blogs and videos, they might not be very helpful. Commentaries might be helpful to you as far as trying to understand and interpret, but we're not there yet. The thing that you want to look up for historical background is dictionaries. Now, when you're in dictionaries, it says search dictionaries here, but you want to make sure that under category, you don't just say all references, you only go through dictionaries. So, as you're searching, let's say, for example, hell is the thing that is in your text. You'll search hell, make sure the category is dictionaries, and you hit find it. Now, you'll see a list of different articles that will tell you different things about hell. This pulls up different verses about hell. If you go down a little bit further, this pulls up some hell, descent into hell is a special article that you can read. Let's see if there is a description of hell. Now, notice that there's other words, lake of fire, pit, Hades. I think this is the actual dictionary, hell. So this is going to describe what hell means according to the biblical text. So Bible Study Tools, as far as coming up with all of your historical background stuff, BibleStudyTools.com is going to be very Bible Study Tools is going to be very important for you to at least get some of the information that you need to answer some of the questions that you've raised in these points. That should be a good start for you. Now, if you get to that point and you're still like, I understand it all, there seems to be no interesting things in this text at all. 1, you're probably not reading carefully enough. But 2, another thing that you can do is you can go into the commentaries section and open up the commentaries about your portion of the text. If you have any more questions about this process, Mr. Trevizo is an excellent asset. I will be back at some point next week, probably. So if you get this historical section done and textual background section done, you will have a great start and you'll know a lot about your text and the information behind it, and things will start to open up about what the text is actually saying, and you can start getting at the exegesis section and some of the interpretation of it. First, you need all this information in the background. This is a good way to start. I bet if you do just this method that I have here on this Word document and you start defining things and listing textual background important stuff, you'll probably already have 2.5 to 3 pages just of background information. So the difficulty of this paper is not going to be making it long enough, it's going to be making it short enough. If you have any other questions, direct those to Mr. Treviso. You can also shoot me an email and I'll try to get back to you between bouncing my baby around. Okay, goodbye.